Hello, Aries. What a great way to start off the month. I hope everybody's doing great today. Apollo's just getting awake here and wanted to say hello to you as well. Really, so many messages came through in dreams and meditations last night that I think we'll have a lot to talk about today. And some really interesting things. A lot of feline or cat energy came through, which I'm more of a dog person, but I did own a cat as a kid and definitely still connect to that energy. And I think it has some important symbols and messages for you. Let me put down Apollo and let's talk about what's in store. First and foremost, I'd like to say welcome to everyone that showed up today. It's great to see you. And again, we'll be looking for the next 6 to 8 weeks. You can always look at this for your sun, rising, moon, and Venus. And for those of you that are well-versed in your chart, you can also use it for other parts of the chart as well. I welcome cross watchers here, so if you want to look on behalf of yourself or someone that you love, that's also fine. And the beginning portion of all of my readings contain messages for whoever decides to show up. So if you ever just need a little bit more of a message, you can tune into the beginning or the final card at the end, and you'll still receive messages for any of the 15 videos that I do each month, okay? So a couple of quick notes on organization, then we'll get started. The way that this is organized is in these parts that I'm going to detail right now. I begin with channeled messages, which I've kindly put on cards here in front of us. And basically this comes from a combination of different divination methods. I get a lot through dreams. I set an intention on the night before I read to receive messages for the sign in the next day. And so I will see symbols in my dreams. I will work with guides in my dreams and I get messages and I decode that in real time today. I meditate about an hour and a half before I start and receive additional messages. And I also put together some of the things that I've been receiving both in the day and in the evening preceding this reading. And then I will also just get things through the act of automatic writing. So for any of you trying to develop your intuitive skills, all of those are great ways to do it. Pay attention to your dreams, take notes, meditate, and do automatic writing, which is just writing with intent. And that will help you connect to spirit. After we do that, we'll move on to the cards and look at the messages that they bring forth. And that Celtic Cross is going to help us navigate opportunities and challenges. Then I'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And that'll give you a nice picture of what's coming through. After that, we'll do a quick mini review, and then we'll go a little deeper into usually 3 questions or areas that I think that deserve a little bit more time and energy. We'll meditate. And at the very end of the reading, I have my sort of take on a pick a card. I don't feel like we have to have 3 stacks. I think you can just ask me a question and I pick a card and it's a little bit more efficient. So that's how I do that. So all of my 15 readings, I always pull a final card at the end in case there's a question that you have that day that I haven't had a chance to cover in the general portion. So that's everything in a nutshell. And let me see if there's anything else we need to talk about. I'd just like to welcome Maria. She's my moderator. And if you have any questions, she'll help that. She'll help keep everything in order here today. And one last thing, I don't take questions. I know some readers do, but when I go into the channel state and start to deliver messages, I won't have a chance to do that. But one way that you can connect with me is we have a new member and we have a lot of members already in chat today. You can join, and the way that you can join, actually, let me pull up another card here, is by going to the same area where Super Chat is. And from here, you can send a sticker or some gratitude as little as like 99 cents. It helps support purchasing new decks. I'm using a new one today, and actually a couple of newer ones. And so this helps me keep up with my supplies. It's optional, but very much helps. And the same thing here, you can actually go there and click join. And with the join option, I've created a new reading each month, a bonus reading, where I reach out to you for input. I may say, hey, what's going on in your lives? Or hey, here's 5 options, vote for what you want me to cover. Or maybe I open myself up to questions that month. So that's a great way to connect with me. So members or Patreon members both have a chance to do that. You can go to my website for details and I'll put some links up at the end of the reading. All right, let's get started. There's a lot to talk about today. So let me just check, make sure everything is looking good here. Let me just adjust the audio as well. All right. Okay, so let's start off with your spirit totem. Today was unique. For me, I don't often connect with something so clearly. And sometimes I wait and it takes me a while to connect with the spirit totem. It was abundantly clear what we needed to talk about last night. So what I saw in my dreams and meditation was not just one, but I would say like hundreds of different types of cats. I was being shown pictures of cats. There were sketches of cats. There were real cats. Cats were everywhere. And it wasn't just one breed or one variety. It wasn't just symbolic. There were just a ton of cats. So if you're a cat lover, today's your reading. And even if you're not, it's still a good reading. So they're actually quite sacred and interesting creatures. They're very smart. I had one as a kid. Maybe later today, I'll put it in one of my stories. Mittens was the name of my cat. I didn't have a chance this morning to grab it because there were so many messages. But I remember that you can't force a cat to do something. So if you want to play with it or pet it, it may not want to do that. And I used to have scratches all up and down my arms because I wanted to pet my cat like a dog. So I really am more of a dog person because I like to just kind of snuggle up with the animal, and cats are having none of that. You have to ignore them and pretend like you don't care, and then they come over, as you know. So anyway, they're cunning, they're moody, they're independent. There's a lot of interesting sort of energies. So some of you may be experiencing people like that in your life, like come here, go away sort of energy, or very difficult to read, right? The other thing that I got with this was a divine energy, which is Bastet. And she is an ancient Egyptian goddess of fertility, of protection, particularly for mothers and children. She's a remover of obstacles. You know, it's interesting. I was reading with in the Catalyst card in the past month, I was using, why can't I think of it right now? The elephant god. You guys will come through for me on that one, but Ganesha. So Ganesha is really good at removing obstacles. She's good at protecting you from evil and also kind of clearing that energy out. So basically, I like that she came through today. And there's a lot to talk about for cats and Bastet. So this is what she looks like. She's half human, half cat, different sort of like variations of her form here. You can do a search. She's also just known as Bast, but Bast or Bastet, a cat goddess or cat deity in ancient Egypt. So your totem's the cat, but she's part of that as well. And as I said, I was being shown a myriad of different symbols representing the feline energy. There was this sort of sacred healing power with it. The person that was in my dream, ostensibly probably a guide, felt the sort of stack of photos and images and everything, and they said, this is really healing. It feels very sacred. And so literally I'm relaying that to you. And because of that, I thought, let's go back and let's look at Egypt where they were revered. Part of it was because they also helped keep pests away, right? This was before modern times where we had different ways of keeping away mice and other things. So they were good at keeping the house clean, but they were also connected to spirit and were magical. There's a reason you see the black cat on the Queen of Wands card. It represents divine feminine. It represents spirit. And I've actually had experiences because, as I've said before, I've had past lives where I remember Egypt. But sometimes an angelic entity will come forth and it first shows itself as a cat to me. So I'm always happy to see a cat in a dream because it's usually something good, at least in my experience. In Egypt, they were thought to bring luck to whomever took care of them or whoever saw them. This whole idea of black cats being bad luck is nonsense. They're all divine creatures, and if you see a black, white, or spotted cat, who cares? It's good. They were closely tied to the realm of spirit, and Bastet herself had this ability to transform into a cat and was often depicted in that half-human form and half-cat form. Interestingly enough, as I was doing some research, a lot of the deities, both in Roman, Greek, and different mythologies, but especially Egypt, they would morph over time. So originally, she was probably more like the strength card, where she was a fierce lioness goddess of the sun. Later, she became the daughter, I should say, of Ra and Isis. And then she was this divine feminine energy that was looking over mothers, children, and fertility. Probably because if you think of cats, they have a litter, there's a lot. Like rabbits, there can be this ability to create more and more and more. So it makes sense there. But she does have a connection both in her original form, where she was a sun deity, and also the fact that she's the daughter of Ra and Isis. So we have that transformative, restorative, solar energy as well. Very strong deity to come forth for you, Aries, today. So the fact that I saw this multitude of cats really does show that you have a lot of opportunities. You are not sort of stuck in one particular box, or you may not have like one clear choice in front of you. So we'll talk about that in a second. But in addition to this abundance, there is competition. So if you're looking for a job, a partner, or an opportunity, you are viable. You are definitely someone that someone would consider, but you have to put your best face forward, your best foot forward. So there's no room to be complacent or to have this sense of, just feeling like things are going to come to you. You have to really work a little bit and show you put in the effort. So dress for that interview, prepare and do your homework. If you're dating someone, meeting someone for the first time, really, again, show that sense of interest, because they may be reading that you're not interested or something like that. So there's really this important opportunity to just show who you are and put your best foot forward. Let's put it that way. Now, because there were so many cats, because they're intelligent, because for those of you that are cat owners, you know they're cunning. They definitely are Seven of Swords sometimes. They can love you, but they can also be, they'll just knock something over and see if they can get away with it. And they don't care. Cats are crazy. So if they're, you want to be mindful of people that are trying to poke at you, test you, see what's going on, 1 foot ahead of you. And I think that that's important. Use your intuition, the High Priestess. High Priestess, to me, divine feminine energy, very much Bastet. You have the ability to read and see through that and be 1 step ahead of them. You know, I didn't even put this in the cards here because I feel like I talked about it before when cats came through, but there is this sort of 9 lives sort of thing that we think about sometimes with cats. And to me, it's showing like you're kind of like the Energizer Bunny. You have another chance to go at it. So you haven't reached your 9th life yet. You have a lot of restarts. So with the abundance, with the opportunity this month, just remember that you still have a shot at whatever it is you're going to try to do. It's kind of like the 8 of Cups where the door is cracked open. So you still have a chance. It's just more competitive. It's more competitive. And there's definitely some other people there that are just as cunning, just as smart, just as intelligent as you. So this is a time where there's some challenges. How are you going to position yourself? What I put here is how will you differentiate yourself from that crowd, right? I think that's going to be really important. Okay, like I said, you're not limited to a single path. So this is going to require you to be a little bit more discerning and have more direction. People will look to you for an answer. And if you're scratching your head and saying, I don't know, then someone else may step in as a leader or they may take the reins. So it's very important to know what you want and to trust yourself and to open up that throat chakra and use your voice. Because if not, someone else will. Let's see. If you don't know what to do, just ask for help. It's so much stronger to say, thanks for this assignment. I'm not clear on this, or this. Can you run through that one more time? Because I want to make sure that I do it right. Like, that's a great way to ask for help. Or you can say, I heard this, but I want to validate. Was this when you needed it? Is this how I should do it? Should I reach out to someone just to look at this because it's the first time? I feel good about it, but I'd like a second set of eyes just to vet it out. You can be both confident and cautious, I should say. There's a way to do that. If you seriously don't know, ask for help and say, this is something I'm not comfortable with. I need some help. Better to just do that than to do a poor job with it and then everyone is upset. So be communicative, be inquisitive, ask people around you if you need help. And if you're feeling sad or uncertain, also ask for help in a different way. If you need just to have a listening ear or someone more professional to kind of guide you through something, that's important. I really liked this sort of epiphany that I had when I was looking at Bastet. You know, she's somewhere in between, right? She's half human, half goddess. And she kind of symbolizes that almost in between stage that we have when we're in our teens, right? We're not a kid, but we're not adult. We're somewhere kind of trying to figure everything out. So it's like between dream and reality, between concept and execution. Basically what I wrote is you're a work in progress. And you're kind of like, the word evolution and revolution are just like a letter away. So it takes a little bit of work, but the process of evolving eventually brings you to this radically different person. And it doesn't happen in an obvious way, but one day you wake up and you look different. Just like when you're a kid, you know, you're growing in different ways. And all of a sudden, maybe if people haven't seen you for 6 months or a year, they look at you and you look like a different person. So that can happen on an energetic level. It can obviously happen on a physical level. It doesn't require adolescence or puberty to happen. It can just be this subtle change that happens within you. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you smile, the way you pull things together. That's what's coming forth here are subtle changes that create a big revolution leading to evolution leading to revolution. Again, closer than it seems, whatever you're trying to accomplish. And the last thing was something that as I was half awake this morning, my guides kind of whispered to me, because I saw like Queen Bastet energy there, a goddess energy. You are not the assistant or the knight or the sort of servant of the queen. You are the queen, basically. And we're talking queen in a sort of divine energy. So men and women can access the queen energy like we were looking. I don't really read gender when I look at the cards here. So this is fertility. This is abundance. This is leadership. This is being able to foster new things. That's the sort of energy that's available to you. You're not below that. You are right on the level. Okay. So that's why so many cats, like a herd of cats, was swarming around me this morning. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Okay, let's move on to the next message. There were so many things that came through with respect to sleep and dreams for you. In fact, the way that I was seeing the cats was I was helping somebody sanctify their sort of sleeping area. And the person that I learned tarot from actually reminded me that your house is not just sort of a place that you live, it's a temple, right? And your bedroom especially is a very important sacred space. So what you want to think of sleep as is both sacred and restorative. Think of it as a ritual. Sleeping each and every night, you're going to do something sacred. It's not a task. It's not something that's optional. It's not something that you should cut back. You should try to do as much as you can. And healing will take place because of that. What I was seeing here was almost like a deck of cats because I work with cards, but there was this protective, abundant energy, and we were putting it under the bed, all these cat pictures. So what I was seeing with this is this ability to bring forth healing energy. And then I was telling the person it's important to go to sleep. Now, it wasn't me, it was someone else. I don't know who. And one thing that you should do, and I was shown this before by an angelic guide, is to put protective stones, amulets, and writings. So you can put a prayer, you can put an incantation, you can put some sort of mantra, put that energy around underneath the bed, underneath your pillow, wherever you want. You need to sort of bless the space. It's another altar of sorts. And really clear that space out, and some healing can happen in your life. I was shown the number 3 associated with both success and or recovery, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. You're not necessarily going to get as far as you want on the first attempt unless you're really good at manifesting. So keep moving. For those of you trying to recover your body or recover something that you lost in your life, each attempt you get a little closer. And by that third attempt, it feels like you're through the gate. Sleeping is going to be an important component to that, to make sure that everything is kind of like coming through. If I don't get sleep, I don't make sense. So that's why I have to get a certain amount of hours per night, or I can't do this reading. And I don't think anybody is above getting sleep unless you've somehow become a cyborg. All right, next piece here. Okay, I was shown an empty home that it actually wasn't a childhood home, it was a family home. But the important thing is that it was familiar and it was empty. But there was someone in there, there was a guide sort of saying, are we done with this? What's going on? So there's a new chapter. There's a chapter ending, but you're still holding on to something. So symbolically, this was probably an angel of transformation or death. What it was showing me is we need to close this door, and you can give me the keys because it's done. You don't need this anymore. It's like when you move out of an apartment, you put the keys on the inside, you shut the door, and you say goodbye to that. That was an old chapter. When I leave an old place that I've lived, I usually don't go back. Once was enough. And so for this, it feels like it's the same. Something's done. There's a little bit of nostalgia, or a little bit of fear, a little bit of attachment that's holding you in that old space. The guide came forth saying, once you let it go, something really cool is going to come forth. But as long as you've got one foot in and one foot out, you're kind of like Bast. You need to either go full on goddess or full on cat. You have to decide what you want, because right now you're somewhere in between. All right. Next piece. With that, actually, while we're kind of visiting this older familial energy, I was shown a fraternal, it could be brother or sister, I could have put sibling, but it did feel more fraternal. energy, and it could be this life or another, because I look at all energy across all lifetimes. That was what was presenting itself. That's what came through while I was in this old house, almost like a haunted energy there. It's something that we needed to clear out. And it felt like there was a little bit of forgiveness. There was also a competitive energy. If you can get past the competitive piece of this, then things can move more towards love and friendship. And you have a choice this lifetime. So one thing that I like to remind folks of is soulmate energy is just karmic. It's karmic. It can be good baggage or bad baggage. It's kind of like when you're packing a trip. Maybe you pack well, maybe you put stuff in that doesn't meet the climate. So sometimes when you meet a partner in this lifetime, they're bringing stuff that doesn't fit or is going to force you to change, like you have to change your outfit. So it's really about looking in that luggage bag and thinking, what did we carry from last time? What can we get rid of? You're not that person. I'm not that person. It doesn't fit anymore. So seeing the person as they are, not holding on to all the stuff from before, and then you won't have to compete as much. You can just kind of celebrate and see what you want to do with that. With soulmate energy, it does not mean that you have to be together. It means that you have something that you need to resolve. There's something karmic. When it's resolved, then you can decide, now what? Does it still feel good? There's always this immediate familiarity with a karmic partner. It can be a lot of fun. It can also be annoying because they have a shortcut into your energy in a way that other people don't, so they can get under your skin. So it should be beneficial, and if it isn't, then you can let it go. So be careful what you wish for when you're looking for like a soulmate, because you want to be much more specific. You could say a karmic soulmate without any baggage, with whom I can engage in a positive sort of energetic exchange. You have to be very wordy sometimes, because I was talking the other day, and I think the collective, about saying, I wish I could have a break, and then all of a sudden you can break a bone, or you can get sick, or you can get laid off. The world can, or the universe can give you different types of breaks. So you want to say something more like, I wish I could have enough abundance so that I could afford to take time off, or I wish that a windfall of money could come in so I could approach a new path in my life and have more energy. Like, go wordy, be specific. Don't just say I want a soulmate, or I want a man or a woman or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a break. It's too generic, and the universe does not interpret the same way that we do. So you don't want to be needy or greedy, but you do want to be specific. All right. Let's look at the next piece here. Yes, this was like a satellite that wasn't picking up, but I kind of heard the static. It's almost like a cell phone where it's cutting out. So I was just shown a signal where it was being broadcast, but not in the right frequency, or something, or the person that was receiving it didn't want to. We're going to talk about the two different things. So for those of you using the wrong frequency, maybe you're talking too much and not listening enough. Maybe you're using a tone or language that's not sort of digestible to that other person. So you'd want to change up the frequency, change up the format. Try to put yourself in their shoes and see, how does it sound? How does it feel if I'm giving that, especially if it's criticism? This is more important. And it's so funny because the other day I saw this TikTok, of all things, where Dolly Parton was talking about, they were asking her, what would you do to get back a man? She said, absolutely nothing. She said, if someone's not interested in me, why the hell would I want them back in my life? So I thought that was funny. Pardon the cursing there. I'm just quoting Dolly. Like, why would you want that? So I would say for you, if someone's not reciprocating, why on earth would you want to try to bring that person back into your life? There's a no for a reason. So if they're ignoring you, if they've specifically said no, if they've blocked you, if they just don't somehow connect with you, that is a blessing. That is saying you don't need to spend your time and energy on that person. Ignoring is actually a form of communication. It may be subtle, but it's nonetheless a form of communication. And they're trying to tell you, they may not want to hurt your feelings, but they're trying to say, I'm not interested, please leave me alone, please move on. So when you continue to invade that energy and say, like, I won't take no for an answer, that is, it is annoying to the person that doesn't want to connect with you. It's also not allowing you to move towards people that do want your energy. And you deserve someone that wants your time, that wants your affection. And I want the best for all of you. So I think it's really important for you to be able to kind of like connect that way. Okay. So let's go ahead now and move on to the next portion. And I see someone talking about me using oracle cards. I use a bunch here. You're going to see them in just a second. I use it in the Catalyst and in Health, Wealth, Love, and Destiny. What I do here is kind of special. I want to connect with spirit when I do this portion of the reading. So this is psychic information coming through and dream information coming through. I love tarot and oracle, but I can also work completely without cards. So what I do here at the beginning is give you a bonus. And just a sidebar, sometimes people will say reading begins here when I pull the cards. No, it doesn't. This to me is the most valuable. A lot of times when I work with intuitives in my life, they don't work at all with cards or any divination method. They just connect with spirit. So I'm giving you a raw reading here at the beginning, and then we connect with cards to amplify, to clarify, and to drill in. And that's why I do it in parts. So this is the raw intuition. The Celtic Cross, which comes next, allows us to get a little bit clearer idea of blocks and opportunities. And then I don't just focus it on love like a lot of readers do. I let that come through in the expanded portion. This way, it's nice and fluid. It basically starts big. It gets a little bit more specific down to that one question. I do have a method to this, and it's basically wide to narrow. And that's how we do this reading here. And I hope you enjoy it. So stick around if it's your first time. And if it's a little longer than you're used to, don't worry. I put time markers up. It will take me at least a few hours to do that because I got to go in there and put all of it. It should be up by tomorrow. And then you can come back anytime over the course of the month and look and see what's here. And it kind of serves as a resource guide. I also had someone say, why don't you just separate it out into like 4 or 5 different readings? Multiply that by 15. And that's why I can't do 60 videos a month. So I just organize it really well. Just a little bit of backstory into why I do it the way that I do it. All right, we're going to look at the cards now. And at this point, I'm going to remain quiet. A reminder that you can look at this for any aspect of your chart that you know, but especially sun, rising, moon, and Venus. Six to 8 weeks in advance is what I'm reading this for, so that you have a chance to really start to affect how your energy is working with all of the opportunities in front of you. So for the person that was talking about the different oracle decks, I use 5 oracle decks with each reading here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in addition to the spread here. So that's why I was like, just be patient, it's coming through. Alrighty, let's take a look now at all of your messages, beginning with your catalyst. And the catalyst was kind of on its side. This is cool. When you have a circular deck, you don't necessarily have to read up or down. But when it's on its side here, this one kind of reminds me of not necessarily the tower, but there are changes coming through with this. We do see lightning. There's a little element of that. So for some of you with the storm, we can't really see what's happening until the storm has cleared. So as we're looking at the month of August, and for those of you in July, it's so hard to believe we're in July, right? So July and August to me look like this sort of opportunity to move, create change. But for some of you, this is going to happen a lot faster than you think. And when I look at this cosmic sort of bolt of lightning, it reminds you and reminds me that sometimes there's just this narrow window of when something can happen. Lightning very rarely strikes in the same place at the same time, or even twice in that same area. So with that stroke of lightning, something that we can always even discern in the, or kind of take out of the Tower card, you have this very big moment where you can do something, but you may not be able to do the same thing with the same amplitude, the same opportunity in the future. This is a very important moment in time. So you can't necessarily put something on the back burner and say, I'll do it tomorrow, or this will happen next time, or when I'm in 10 years, when I'm a little bit older, I'll deal with this. It feels like you're going to have to make room in this sort of like cosmic storm to do what you want to do. It's going to be a little messy at first. You're going to be okay. Don't miss this lightning bolt like Zeus. He's kind of coming through and saying, listen up, pay attention to this. This is your time. It's a mess, but it's also divine. You're that work in progress that Bast was showing us, right? So you basically do have a combination of maybe like Tower, Fool, and World energy. Endings, beginnings, cleaning up the mess too. When I looked at that old house from the past, it was empty. There wasn't anything left there. If you've moved, you've seen that sometimes. Maybe you're leaving something behind for the next person. Maybe there's a couple of bags that you have to take out to the recycling bin, but it felt to me like it's time. So it's time, and something really cool is waiting for you here with this lightning bolt, okay? Let's look at your center card. We have the Chariot in reverse. So how are you feeling about the current path that you're on? Because for me, this could be kind of like if you're in a car, let's go in the other direction. Let's do a U-turn. Let's take a right or left turn. Something about your current direction isn't exactly the way that you want or need it to be. Interesting that this deck is, we've got a lot of Egypt symbols coming through today. So I think that's why I was drawn to this true heart intuitive deck today. But I always look at the two different creatures that lead the Chariot. So we can't always get everybody to see or understand what we're trying to do. It's important for us to sort of like, if you are, heading that Chariot, you need to basically get the horses on the same page as you. You need to motivate them to move forward, and there needs to be the sense that you're the one that is driving the Chariot. And in a car, the same sort of thing. If your alignment is off, or if one of the wheels rolls off, you can't steer it. So you need to not only have a clear vision of what you want to do, but the ability to corral those around you, all the cats that we saw in the dreams here. It's like cat herding. It can be harder sometimes. So you may need to break out of that big group and do something on your own. Whatever the case is, I want to see the Chariot upright. I want you to feel like you are in control. I encourage you to find your voice. I encourage you to steer in the direction that feels best to you, right? All right, and then we have a really divine symbol on top of this, a 10 of Wands, but a scarab. And as you know, in Egyptian sort of mythology and just in general, dung beetles are very good. They're, even it's not exactly what you would think of as being a sign of abundance, but it is, because basically they're taking something that enriches the earth, which is why they were revered. So they kind of roll up all the dung and they put it somewhere, but this is kind of like moving fertilizer. It's a very fertile symbol. And instead of pushing or like carrying something up a hill, that's why they have this particular symbol on this card. But look at what's within the symbol. It's you. So this is a regenerative sort of energy. And it's also reminding you that all the garbage you've been through is allowing you to elevate and go to that next level. Just like when we look, I talk about this a lot, but it's also a different symbol of the same thing. So when you look at a lotus blossom, it has to travel through all of the layers of mud and all of the sort of dirty pond water to come out and be beautiful. All we see on the top is the lily and the lily pad, but it had to make that journey through everything else. So this is doing the same sort of thing, and it's moving through the dirt, moving through the muck. And for you with the 10 of Wands, there's a like graduation, there's a final sort of doorway that's opening and closing, but you have to push that last little piece through. So just like also a bulb that's pushing up through the spring, all of that potential energy is there, but it has to make its way through the upper levels of the soil. And so whether there's some stones or some leaves or whatever, it has to push a little harder. And we're right at that point where we're ready. So whether you want to think of a bulb, an acorn, or a seed, it's something, because we have the Ace of Pentacles here, which is to me a divine seed. So there's something that's trying to push through. It's reversed, so there's a little bit of a block. So you have to go this way, or some other way. So that's what we see here, is something really good, but there's a direction that needs to change for you to do that. This beetle has wings. You can see the wings here. And we even see the sort of the winged creature here as well. So there's this opportunity like a phoenix rising for you to come forth past any block. Remember what I saw in my dreams and meditation, which was it may take up to 3 attempts for you to get what you want. So don't give up. Let's go to the deep past. I was just doing a couple of collective readings at the end of the month, and I know I saw the Queen of Cups for one of them coming through. And so you have a little bit of that residual energy here. She's reversed. So as I was saying in those collective readings just a week ago, or this past week, I would say what's important for you, first and foremost, to get yourself in the right energy for the next 6 to 8 weeks is to emotionally and I would even say on a sensitivity and energy sensitivity level, get yourself to the place where you're okay. There needs to be a download, an emotional download when the Queen of Cups is reversed. She can't receive because she has to let go. Once she lets go, then we can put the chalice upright and she can start to bring things in. This is why the satellite wasn't effective, because I feel like the satellite was pushing in the different direction. So emotionally, what this means is we could be thinking, I can't do it. It's not going to happen. This isn't working. I don't deserve it. I'm not this or that enough, whatever. So you've turned the satellite within and it's pushing downward energy. We want to move the satellite in another direction and say, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to move past this. I'm going to remember what Nicholas said. It's going to take a couple attempts. I'm ready. I'm willing. Let's bring it in. But first, you've got to say, enough of this. I don't need this anymore. Maybe you need to cry. Maybe you need to laugh. Maybe you need to talk to someone. Somehow you need to decompress. Okay. Art, dance, therapy. There are many different ways that you can do it. This is important for you. Okay. Now, this is here and now, because for those of you that are watching me on the 1st, you have a whole month to solve this. That's why we do it early. And even for those of you that might be like Aquarius or Pisces and your readings towards the end, it's still the same amount of time. Everybody gets 6 to 8 weeks no matter when I read them. So you have 6 to 8 weeks to solve this puzzle. And by the time that we're done with this reading, you will. The next piece of the puzzle is your ego is popping up. So the Sun card I like, but when it's reversed, it's about how big your ego is and maybe how much pride or how much investment you have in something, and how that can sometimes be a block, because we can take ourselves so seriously that we're afraid to receive criticism, to fail, to somehow have someone not receive us, because we want that sense of validation. The Sun card needs to hear that it's a good child, right? Like my puppy, I'll have to say, you're a good boy. He is a good boy. He's sitting in the background listening. So for all of us, we need to hear that encouragement sometimes, like you're doing great. But you have to know it internally, what this month is saying. Know that you're already on the right path. Know that you're doing what you need to do. And know that sometimes it's better to not receive something that is maybe not completely heartfelt from the other person. So if you're working, remember there was jealousy or competition that could be coming through for you this month. So if someone is jealous of the good work that you're doing, you won't receive that sort of message, even if you deserve it. So it's important to just feel it and know it and keep working and work on the inner child. That's really what the Sun is. This particular Sun is gorgeous, but we're missing the baby. And I do wish there was a child on this one. But that does show the sort of renewal too, because to me, that is birthing, releasing, moving forth. We still have the fertile energy with this as well. If there's a male figure in your life, the Sun reversed is someone who has a very difficult time putting themselves second or putting you on an equal ground as them. So remember what I said earlier, you are the queen. So whether there's 2 men, 2 women, or man or woman, doesn't matter. You're both on the same level is basically what I was getting. But sometimes someone else has a hard time seeing you as their equal, or God forbid their superior, because you are on some levels. Some of you may be a boss. Some of you may just be a partner that does more or is more perceptive. So you're divine. And that's what we see with the pyramids there that represent divinity as well. So you've got what it takes, with or without that validation, with or without the recognition. Just own that, know yourself, and open up your satellite to receive. And don't take yourself so personally, or don't take things so personally, I should say, and that things will improve for you. This has exactly everything to do with what I talked about, the sacred energy of sleep. 4 of Swords is traditionally a card of sleeping. You would see someone laying down, sometimes on a symbolic like sepulcher or a grave. But what this is showing is you're putting things to rest, you're letting go of things. It can also be a symbol of death and rebirth. But what we see here is through that sort of rest period, there's a very meditative energy in this particular Four of Swords. And with this Four of Swords, what we're seeing here is messages coming through from the divine. And again, like I said, a multitude. You have to take a moment to decide. So your sleep, your meditation, your pause is going to give you what it takes to sprint ahead, right? So that's the important piece. I see someone asking questions about love. Just hang tight. We're going to look at relationships in a second. We focus on self first, because if we focus too much on the partner before we know what we're doing, then we're just going to trip. And that's why I always start with this sort of general thing so we can learn about you. That's the fallacy in a lot of the love-only readings. If you only focus on your partner but not yourself, you're giving them all the power. They're the queen and you're the knight. We want two queens or a queen and a king. So let's focus on ourselves, and then we'll focus on the other. All right, we have the Star card coming through for you. This is the step-up moment for you. This is the revelation. This is the divine feminine energy that I was talking about. And for some of you, it could be an Aquarius coming forth as well. But I really like the star energy. For you, it's upright, which is telling me that you're headed in that right direction to not sort of worry so much about, will I succeed? What will they think? How will it feel? Is this what they're looking for? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, it's, I'm doing this because I know that I need to. I trust myself enough that I'm not worried about rejection. And if I get rejected, rejection is protection. That's my new mantra here. So when someone says no, or when someone doesn't want to come forth, it's because something or someone better is on the horizon. So we therefore accept that rejection as a form of protection, or we work on ourselves and overcome that as well. All right. But anyway, the Star card is telling me you're setting yourself up for success. And there is a big sort of moment where you're going to have to step into the spotlight or into accountability or speak up a little bit more, which is why I was talking about the throat chakra opening up. Okay. All right. Now we have Prince of Cups in reverse. So we do have the King and the Knight, which is what I've been kind of using as a metaphor. Now we talk a little bit about love. We'll talk more in a moment. But for some of you, this is the important thing, is that we see, I would prefer to see a king and a queen, or two queens or two kings. When I start to see different levels like this, to me, it's showing immaturity or a sense of not being on the level. So this is showing up as self. And what we see here in the deep past is it really should be, you should be this. But there's this feeling of someone in your life that maybe makes you second guess yourself. It can be a mom, it can be a dad, it can be a boss, where they pop in and they're like, are you sure? Or I don't think you can handle that because you did this wrong. And it just kind of eats away at your self-esteem. I want you to feel, go to the Queen or go to the King of Cups. Really feel strong about yourself. Now, if there's something you legitimately need to work on it, but don't take it so personally. Just say, all right, thank you for that critique. If I didn't know that, then I wouldn't be able to get to the next level. So you are strong, you are capable, you're ready, you're willing to receive. If there is a relationship in your life where there's a maturity gap or some sort of even an age gap, what it feels like what you're trying to do is bridge that and feel like you both are putting in an even amount of energy, that there is no sort of difference. So that's the challenge in all relationships this month, is equity. Whether age, whether status, whether money, or whatever it is, there's some sort of a feeling of this, and I want it to be this, okay? When we look in your environment, it looks awesome. We have the Wheel of Fortune here showing really good progress with work. This is absolutely in alignment with the herd of cats that came through in my dreams. So it feels like one of the main focal points for you this month could be financial gains, success at work, self-improvement, and then just kind of growing your resources overall. Also big changes. This can accompany a move. It can accompany signing a contract, moving in with someone, something like that. There's a lot of changes, just like the World card, the Wheel of Fortune is things moving in a positive direction. It was upright. Okay, so I like that. Here's the first card that kind of gives me a lot of pause this month. It's the Ten of Swords, but it is reversed. This is in hopes, fears, and opportunity. And this is always a dramatic card. Whenever this comes through, the positive for me with the Ten of Swords is this is a period or a full stop. It's the end of a chapter. And so if anyone in your life pushes you to the point of arguing or says something hurtful or like slams the door and walks out, because all of these can be sort of symbolic of the Ten of Swords when it comes to relationships, then what I would say is, so be it. Enough is enough now. We don't have to keep revisiting that. So it's giving you permission to move on, to move out, to let go. As far as the body goes, this is kind of akin to the recovery message that I was saying, which is it might take a few months, it might take a few attempts here, and it could be something that's really difficult for you to push through. But we did see that sort of, we have two really nice cards in the future, near future and outcome. So we have the Star card and the Ace of Pentacles, both are good. So I feel like it's time to take care of yourself. That's why the Ace is reversed. It's time to focus on letting go of the pain, making room for more fun and joy in your life. But if you're having any sort of chronic pain or fatigue, please go to a doctor. This is tarot, not medicine here, so you need to work with a professional for that. But I can see the pain coming through. So if that's wherever the pain is in your body or in your energy system, this is a time to take care of it. A general warning sign with the Ten of Swords, of course, is all the way up here to the top of your neck, to the tip of your sort of like your tailbone, basically. It could be your whole spinal health. So you want to look at, that's why the bed was coming through. So just make sure your mattress is good, your pillows are good, all of that. Even your car, if that needs to be adjusted the way that you're seated and you do a lot of driving, you need some more support in the back and the lumbar portion or whatever, take care of that. There could be other chronic issues that pop up every now and then. It could be some sort of like, rosacea or rash or whatever, but whatever it is, get to the professional, take care of yourself, focus on sleep and stress management. All of those things are going to help with that. And again, always work with your health professional when you're dealing with pain or pain management. All right, finally, we have the Ace of Pentacles here in reverse. Let's see if I can get this card to come up here. So the Ace to me is almost always a really good card. Any Ace is good. When the card is reversed, it could be something that you're not ready or willing to receive. This could be an unwanted advance, an unwelcome offer, an unexpected offer. There's something about it where you think, I don't know. So you need some time. You literally need some time to think on, sleep on it. So if you get something that you don't know or don't want to kind of talk about, say, I need to research this. Thank you for reaching out. Give me a night, give me a week. Let me think about it. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's one of those offers where it's now or never. There may be a time sensitivity to this, but you can figure out how much time you could ask for. Overall, I think it's really, really a good sign here with the Ace of Pentacles at the end and the Star card. So it feels like you have a new offer landing. You could even have someone that's interested in you romantically, professionally. The question is it reciprocal? Is it something that makes sense for you? Okay, let's go ahead and expand the forecast, and I'll dig a little deeper into each of these categories, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin with the health card. Health is mind, body, and spirit. We have signs and reminders here for health, and we have all those beautiful butterflies there. So when it comes to your health, it feels like, yes, transformation is coming through. Yes, a change is possible. We also see hummingbirds, which are really positive signals for me. What's more important here are signs and reminders. So in your body, in your life, in your thought process, you pick up on things where I need to do something about this. I need to change this. You feel like you understand what the next step is. Are you doing something about that? How are you approaching these signs and reminders? Don't put off a doctor's appointment just because you're afraid of going. Don't ignore something that's going on in your body, especially if it is chronic in nature. The sooner you go, the better. Pay attention to those signs. The other thing with this, it's ultimately a very positive card. So if you get a sign that something good is about to happen, or if you feel like this could be a really good change for you, go for it. Pick up on that. This is a chance to move away from something to something else. And by the way, if the Ten of Swords was going to show up somewhere, I would want it to be in hopes, fears, and opportunities, because that tells me it's completely avoidable. So you can move past this if you pay attention to the signs right now. Okay. Let me just look at the cards real quick and see if there's additional health messages. Obviously, we connected sleep and the back pain, so just make sure that makes sense. Some of you could be driving or sitting too much with the Chariot card. So this is also a message to get out and to walk a little bit. Actually, there's a few cards of being seated, the Queen card, the Chariot, the Sun, because on all of these, there's horses or thrones. So we need to get up and move our own legs and make sure that things are okay. This The star card is also about making sure everything is flowing through your body in a positive way. We see water there. So make sure that you're getting enough hydration. For those of you looking for a low impact way of exercising, swimming is an option if you feel like it, if your doctor approves it. It's a really great way to connect with the element of water too, which helps us get rid of other things energetically. And then ultimately just watch what you're putting into your body, because this is a digestion card. So what is your protein, your vitamin, your toxic sort of ingestion looking like? Make sure that everything is in the right space. But the Ace of Pentacles in reverse can either be prescriptions or protein, as I read it sometimes. So just make sure that you're not overdoing any of those sort of things. Okay, overall pretty good. One last thing with the Sun card, it can also show things like urinary tract infection. So if something doesn't feel right, make sure that you're getting that taken care of as well, since it was reversed. Water will help with some of these things, but if you have an infection, you need to go to the doctor. Okay, let's look at wealth now. We have the broken arrow, embrace the energy of peace. So one thing here that's coming through, this could be the competitive stuff that I was talking about. It's not worth fighting anymore. Sort of like, we're going to take that and forget about it. The last time that this card came through, I reminded people that you can reforge swords. You can fix the arrow too. So for some of you, this is about finding a better direction, because obviously whatever you were focusing on before wasn't working. So this is really redirection and then putting together that tool so that you can have a better tomorrow, also just better focus. Because I think of that in, if I was using the Wildwood Tarot, I think it's bows and arrows. So if you take the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords, you have a bow and you have an arrow. So you need to have this and then your action kind of following it. So thoughts and execution are a part of this. So it feels like you just need to kind of get things organized there to pull it together. Let's look at the other cards when it comes to wealth. First of all, I'm really excited that the Wheel of Fortune is in the environment, but it looks like for some of you, you may need to go outside of where you're at for that to happen. So if you're in an existing job and it feels like burnout, it probably is. If you're afraid of failure, don't be, because we have both the Star card and then the Ace of Pentacles here. So I feel like you've got nothing to lose, but you have to take that initial chance to make sure that something happens. Do take care of yourself. Some of you could also be a combination of busy and bored. And the Four of Swords can show this disconnect, but not as maybe disconnected as the Six of Swords, where you're already 1 foot out the door. It's just sort of like, I'm doing well, but I don't feel what I'm doing. I'm not feeling like it's representing me. So if that's the case, again, it feels like it's time to move either up or move on. So approach that at your current place of work if you're working, or look elsewhere. If you're in school, the Four of Swords and Ten of Swords are showing fatigue. You need to take some time to regroup, to ground yourself in why you're studying what you're studying. If you're retired, the Four of Swords and Ten of Swords could be a restlessness, could also be chronic pain like we talked about. You need something to look forward to no matter what. That Ace of Pentacles at the end is the proverbial carrot on a string that's sort of out there saying, what's tomorrow bringing? What is my bigger goal? What is the bigger purpose? So no matter what where you're at in your life, school, career, retired, or somewhere in between, you need that larger purpose on the horizon, which is going to give you what you need to reach up and get there. Okay. Now, what the person was asking about earlier, love. So this month, the biggest thing that's coming through for love is inner strength. It says, move back to wholeness, recognize that you have the power. Hello, Queen. This is what it's saying. You are the queen, you are the king. It's your own fire. It's your own energy that's coming forth here with Brigitte here. Basically, so showing that you have this inner fire, inner flame. Let's look at 3 different things here. In love, looking for love, not focusing on love. If you're in love, let me just pull the cards down for a second. Things are a little bit chaotic right now, or could be. Some of you may have a partner that's looking for a new career. There may be a communication breakdown. The interesting thing is it feels like one of you has this step up opportunity. And support is all that's really being asked for from the partner that's having a chance to move up. There should be equity, equal sort of energy where both of you have the ability to shine in different ways. Because what do we have here? The sun, which is what? A star, and the star, which is a star. We have 2 stars right here, and we have a control card that's kind of trying to figure it out. And then we have this moving past the control issue. So a star and a star that's focused on itself, and a star that is just being honest. And then this sort of control energy, saying we're going to move past it. Patience and not arguing are important to getting past that. Success is what's at hand. There's no breakup energy here. There's no sort of, there's another party or whatever, but there are two very emotional people. There are two very equal people, but there is one person that's playing like they have more power. There's one person that feels like they have a little less. There's something that has to happen to equal the scales, okay? If you're looking for love this month, not taking yourself too seriously, being very honest with others, not holding back is going to be important. Not taking the bait in arguments is going to be important. Work is a primary focus. So figuring out how to balance a new relationship with all that energy could be key. We do have something that I associate with Aquarius here. We also have two strong water sign energies as well. So there could be a third party that's coming in that could be kind of challenging it, but mostly I see a chance to sort of have two people not competing, but sort of equally shining. I think it's very similar to what would be happening if you're in love here. The only thing that I see for those that are looking for love is your energy isn't where I want it to be. A little bit of fatigue, a little bit of burnout. So you need the sleep. You need the sleep in order to not sort of like trip up an opportunity or trip in general. For those that are not focusing on love at all, what I see for you this month is increased visibility, increased success with work, a test when it comes to limits, not working yourself until midnight, not saying yes to everything, not letting people's comments get under your skin, because with visibility also comes accountability and responsibility, but it also equals more money, more success. So just growing a thicker skin is going to be really important. The people energy is more about like all of this sort of stuff coming at you, and it can be sort of a fatigue. So I don't necessarily see new love, but I see the need to not let people get under your skin. So that's how I read love. I look at it from an all-inclusive angle, and I look at it after I've looked at you because it helps. All right, let's look at your final card here, which is Destiny. So we have the miracle of nature here. It says, thank your angels for helping me to recognize the through nature and fresh air. It's sort of this clarity. So when was the last time you sort of cleared the room, cleared the energy, got outside? So we also see this heart chakra shining through on this. So if you can get out of the four walls that you're in all the time, take a walk or just go out on the balcony, take some fresh air into your lungs. That's going to be really important. For those of us during the pandemic that have been cooped up, just even opening the window and looking outside in the Lightseer's deck, the Two of Wands looks like that. She's making plans. She's looking out the window. We need to connect with the future, the higher purpose, because that's going to help us get out of the sense that this is it. Because if you're staring into a corner or looking at the wall, you feel very sort of like bricked in. It's like, how do I get out of this box, right? So that's the important thing. The main thing here for the future is the idea of a miracle. So are you ready to receive a miracle? I hope so. So let's go ahead now and do a mini review, and then we're going to move on to the soul path. Before I do the soul path, let me just take a quick look at the cards, and I'll see if there's a couple of major messages that are shining through. First thing that I like to look at is, do we have everything represented? So we have swords, we have cups, we don't have wands. So actually we have 10 of wands. It feels like we have everything pretty evenly distributed here. So I like that. So what I'd like to focus on instead is how you can manage your energy a little bit more with the 4 of swords and the 10 of swords. Let's just look at like self-care. Let's call it that. So we'll look at self-care. And because we have the Wheel of Fortune right there, and because I had all the cats come through, what can you do for abundance? How can we welcome in the abundance? How is that going to factor out? And then I always do a wild card after that. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick review, and then we will get into the next part of this reading. All right, so again, your spirit totem was the cat, and also through connection to that, Bastet, which is an ancient Egyptian goddess, which we'll talk about here in a second. And in my dreams, I saw hundreds of cats, photos, sketches, and actual cats coming through. And there was this sort of sacred healing energy that was associated with them. In Egypt, they were auspicious and magical creatures, symbols of prosperity. And basically, they were supposed to bring luck to those who cared for them or hung around with them. They were also closely tied to the realm of spirit. One of the examples is Bastet. She was someone who could transform into the form of a cat and was also kind of half human, like many of the deities were in ancient Egypt, like Thoth and some of the other ones where I think he had the ibis head, and there was a bunch of deities that could take half human, half animal form. She was originally, interestingly enough, the goddess of the sun. She was connected to that. So we got her solar energy coming through right here. And you could also kind of associate her with the strength card, because I think of the lioness and also the woman holding open the mouth of the lion. So it's all in one, basically, here in ancient Egypt. She later became the daughter of Isis and Ra, so still have the solar energy. Then we also have the rebirth energy there. She's a divine feminine energy, ultimately a goddess of fertility, protector of mothers and children, a remover of evil in life. Nothing bad with the cats or with Bast. She's a really great deity. All of these cats showed me abundance, but they also showed me competition and cunning. So you're going to have to be aware of, first of all, how you're going to stand out. You also want to be aware that people around you are smart. You don't want to take them for granted, okay? Like I said, cats can be tricky. Seven of Swords energy for sure. So trust your intuition and pay attention to the signs and symbols, which we saw here in the health card. You are not limited to a single path. Discernment's going to be important, but that can sometimes be overwhelming. It's sort of like you can get lost in the Eight of Wands, which is something I've said before. So really figure out where it is you want to go next. That's why the Chariot card was in the center, and take control, because if you don't, someone else will. And if they do, you may not like what they do. Because Bast is half and half human, half deity, she's got like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it's like that awkward phase of adolescence. And it's like when we're between dreams and reality, or between a plan and its actual execution. Ultimately, it's a good thing because you're a work in progress and you've got to forgive yourself. Just see yourself kind of like that awkward adolescent. You're not sure exactly how it's going to end up, but you're going to trust that you're going to be like a swan. And remember that evolution leads to revolution. Small changes create something bigger. Bastet reminds you that you are not the knight, you're the queen, all right? We got a lot of queens that came through, and then we also have this really strong energy in relationships that shows the fire within. So amen to that. It makes a lot of sense, a lot of parity with what we saw. Sleep is sacred. Sleep is restorative. Treat it as a ritual, as something that you are really happy to do, not as something that you have to slide in between, watching something on Netflix and getting up for work. Arrange things in your room in such a way that it reminds you of like a temple. Really make it something special for yourself, using whatever makes sense to you, because I can't prescribe what that ritual or what that temple should look like, but it should be divine. Might take up to 3 attempts to get something done, and recovery may be 2 to 3 months out as well. I was shown an old home, and it felt kind of haunted by an energy, and the energy that I was picking up on was fraternal. One of the things that's going to be important for you to move on to the next phase of your life is just deciding, I'm done with this, and something new comes in. Then you can deal with that fraternal energy. It could be a real brother or sister, or it could be sort of someone from the past that's coming through that has a really close tie that you would feel a competitive vibe with. You got to move past the competitiveness, past any sort of grudges, and work towards forgiveness. Then love can come through. Signals, we were talking about the satellite dish, and if you kind of compare it to a chalice, it's the same thing. If the chalice is in the wrong direction, it can't receive. So there's something emotionally that's coming through that's allowing or not allowing the energy to come through. You need to kind of clear that signal. Put yourself in the other person's shoes, and also remember what Dolly said. If someone doesn't want you, why would you want them? It's not worth your time and energy. You should get someone who's absolutely celebrating you for you. And ignoring someone, even if it is slightly passive, is a message. So if you've sent countless notes to someone, countless texts, and they never get back, they actually did get back. They're saying, please stop. So assume that it's time to focus on yourself and take a new path. You deserve it. You're worth it. It's okay. It might be tough to deal with. You might want to get a final word in. It's not going to necessarily help things, though. This is a time to sort of see a clearing happen, but you have to move through the storm first. So there's a little bit of chaos before everything clears. If you've ever walked out after a rainstorm, it's such a beautiful thing, usually, unless it's like a hurricane. Let's just imagine it's a summer rainstorm. So there's lightning, there's thunder, there's wind, but when you walk outside, you smell the ozone, you smell the fresh air, you see the clear sky. It's really quite nice. cleans off the earth. It cleans everything up. That's what this change that's happening is allowing to sort of bring forth in your life. Really interesting when you look at it all together here. 2 stars, a control card, and moving on and moving up beyond that. Really important messages there. There doesn't have to be a better or worse sort of energy. It doesn't have to be win or lose. But there is someone here that has a hard time looking at others or accepting the energy of others, so that's going to be a challenge for you. Both of your emotional cards reversed, the king and the knight, I'm sorry, the queen and the knight. And so a reminder here that we see equal energies, but what we're seeing here is difficulty in finding that equity. This is usually divine masculine. This is usually divine feminine. It looks like the divine masculine is having more of the challenges than divine feminine, since the divine masculine is reversed. Could also mean that the divine masculine energy within you or your partner needs healing. The inner child, the active energy, taking sort of accountability, moving forward, letting go of ego and pride. Those are the things that either you or your partner needs to focus on. 4 of Swords, rest. 10 of Swords, fatigue. Make sure that you're not pushing yourself too far. Star, revelation. Ace of Pentacles, an offer, but an unexpected, inconveniently timed, or something weird about this card is coming through, and that's because maybe you can't control it. Sometimes you have to take what's coming through, even if you wanted it a year from now or you wanted it a year ago. The timing is divine, and that's why we got the star, so it's about what you're going to do with this divine timing. There is love coming through here, but you're not as receptive as you could be. So focusing on self, healing self, development in work, changes in the life in a positive way are coming through. Feels like you want to do some personal investment. Feels like you also might be pushing back on an offer. So figure out what this is about. Signs and reminders when it comes to health. Pay attention to any warning signs in your body. The other thing here is something positive could be on the horizon. And if you're ready to reach for that, we still have a star, a wheel of fortune, and an ace of pentacles. Great, great, and great. We just have to deal with emotional triggers and stress or fatigue. Those are the only things coming between you and healthiness and happiness. And in relationships, avoid arguing and avoid power issues. You might need to talk to a third party to help you with that. It does look like you can move on, though, because we've got the 10 of Wands. The only thing that I'll say is that a 10 of Wands in reverse can be sometimes someone who's pushy either symbolically or literally. And so we don't want that kind of energy. So if someone is either mentally, physically, or just energetically pushy in your life, it's time to let that go, okay? For your health, for your well-being. Take care of chronic fatigue. Take care of any chronic pain. Pay special attention to your spinal health this month. With wealth, something isn't working, but that is for a reason, because we have 2 wheels here. We have a shield and this broken arrow, then we have the wheel of fortune bringing you into something better. Rejection is protection, as I like to say. So there's something better on the horizon for you. The other thing with your career, there might be a fear of failure, but the truth of the matter is success. So don't fear failure. And it's like that old song, Don't Fear the Reaper. It's don't fear change. And so we see a positive sort of reaping, a positive reaping of rewards. But there's sometimes a fear of like, what will that mean? Will I be able to do it? So don't be afraid. Relationships this month, it's about your inner power. Each of you brings something to the equation. Notice how she's holding a chalice with that flame. So once you have that sort of chalice upright and you've filled it up with your own energy, then you have more than enough. Then she's basically carrying the ace of pentacles, but it's got fire in it instead. So not the ace of pentacles, the ace of cups, but it's like instead of water, it's like fire overflowing. It's like Pele basically, right? So then you have that creative energy coming forth. So just know that you have that capacity already. Don't find your fire or inspiration in others, find the fire within. Avoid arguments, avoid power issues. Finally, here we have a miracle card that comes through with a change of environment. So one of the best things that you could do is change up your environment if something doesn't feel like it's working. So it might be time to, move. It might be time to leave a job. It might be time to get out into the world, get out into nature as well. All right, let's go a little bit deeper now. We're in the soul path. The soul path is where I look at 2 to 3 questions and get a little more clarity. And they usually come through with the absence of messages or the repetition of messages. So what I want to look at now is self-care, getting out of your own way, basically, when we look at the 4 and the 10 of swords and all of those emotional energies that came through reverse. So What can we do to bring your satellite upright, to bring your chalice upright, to allow you to have this sort of inner fire filling up your chalice? All right, let's take a look. Thanks for the 111 likes. Nice, beautiful message there. If you haven't already liked, consider doing that. It helps the channel. Thank you. All right. We have the Three of Swords in reverse. Ultimately, Three of Swords reversed is about healing. But one of the important things for you to look at with this particular card is unconditional love. That's what this is about, because what's on all of the swords and what is kind of constraining the heart? Strings. And so if we were to take the swords away and to remove the strings, we just have a happy heart. So in your life, the one thing that's kind of holding you back from self-care is people in your life that might be expecting things in return for something. I would love you. This is especially true for parents. If you truly loved me, you would do this. No son or daughter of mine would do this. Or why can't you be this or this or this? You know what I would say back to them is, you gave birth to me. We are divinely connected, and I love you unconditionally. I wish you could love me with the same open heart that I have toward you. And until you do, I don't need to listen to your rejection, because you're not really being present with me. So on a soul level, I chose you and you chose me, so we already are winning. And this stuff that you're talking about is your projections. You're projecting what you want, not what I want. You're not listening to what I want. They're not listening. So someone in your life isn't listening. They're wanting you to do something for their own happiness, not for yours. So this is like, you might want to marry someone, you might want a job, you might want to do something, and they don't want you to do it because it makes them unhappy, not because they're actually concerned about your happiness. So what you do is you get real with them and say, this isn't about my happiness, it's about your desire, not my desire, not my sort of happiness. So we're going to cut those cords with people that do that in our lives, frenemies, parents, teachers, colleagues, and if they can't support and celebrate the growth that you're having, and you are, by the way, because we have this beautiful divine feminine star energy coming forth, then we're just going to cut cords. Cutting cords is going to help you with self-care. If you talk to, this is a really easy way to figure out if it's time to cut a cord. If you get a call from someone and you see their name on your phone and you think, ugh, it's time to create some space between that person. If you have a conversation with someone, either in real time in the same room or on the phone, and you feel like taking a nap afterwards, or if you feel like the breath was taken out of you, like they knocked the wind out of you, it's time to cut that person out. If you are headed towards a date, going towards work or something, and you're thinking, I don't want to do this, I hate this, I want this day over, it's time to cut the cords. Someone in your life is pulling at your energy, and it's affecting you on this level, which is really, this is why your satellite is like, yeah. So if we can get the heart in a happy space, the satellite will be upright and it will be receiving, because the heart is also cups. Like the King of Cups is the King of Hearts. So we need to get that heart upright so you can be the King or Queen of Cups and the King or Queen of Hearts. Let's get it in a positive space. We want your heart healed. Anyone that can't, won't, or is just not interested in your own happiness, and they put strings or attachments to conditions on their love, that's not love. That's just power. And that's what we had at the center, was a sort of power thing, right? Good. All right, that wasn't what I expected to come through for self-care, but that's what came through. How can you get more abundance? How can we open? And abundance is money, is love, is opportunity, it's many things. You got two, we'll accept it. All right, so the first one is exactly what okay, this is Bastet coming through. I told you she's the strength card. She was the lioness. And we actually see the solar energy here. This is Bast coming through. So the strength card is reminding you that in abundance, you are the creator, because she is the sun. She is also the cat, and she's also fertility. She's all of those things. And because she's also the daughter of Isis, she's able to bring back things that should have been gone. So she's able to recreate. It's all of that. So looking at strength through the lens of Bastet gives you a much different view of the card. She also is, there's no competition here, by the way. We have the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and they are not, she is not opening up his throat. She's basically right there saying, we are working at this together. And that's what we have here, divine masculine, divine feminine. So there shouldn't have to be competition. You should be able to access both in your life if you would like as well. So in order to have abundance, remember you are the queen. You are also the king if you want to be. And you can work with a queen or a king. It doesn't matter. It's all good here. And this is a very different strength card. And again, we're using Bastet as well. And she's connected to the sun. So I actually feel like they already connected this card a little bit to Egyptian energy as well. So this is cool. All right, second answer for this card is the Five of Swords. And it's all in how you perceive it. Five of Swords, I really like a new deck that I got. It's the Afro Goddess Major Arcana deck, but basically, or Arcanas. In that particular one, you can see someone licking a sword and there's blood on the sword. And it has to do with conversations that can come back and bite you. And then also there's conversations not worth having because sometimes people feed off of that, almost like a vampire would. So you're going to see this ahead of time. In this particular deck, we're focusing on seeing it before it happens. It's not about the Five of Swords happening. It's a big eye, right? You can see it before it happens. Don't be afraid. She's a little bit afraid in this particular picture. We want to pull the goddess energy that's coming through here. So you're the goddess. You're seeing this before it happens and you're avoiding it. So there's a little bit of uh-oh, someone wants to argue with me. Someone wants to push me. But I'm not going to worry about that because I'm in control of myself. I'm in control of my destiny. I'm not going to argue with them anymore. Whether it's mom, boss, coworker, friend, goodbye. We're moving on to something else. And there's a bigger path in front of you, okay? So we have a little hidden Five of Swords that wants to rear its head, but we're going to push it back behind the Strength card, and you're going to be strong. See it calmly. Both the lion and the goddess are calm. We're not going to be like, oh my God. Don't be afraid of someone. Just realize it's the same energy here from the Three of Swords. So you're just going to push back and say, not today. Not ever, really. All right, let's take a look at the wild card. The wild card is anything that I've missed. And then after we do the wild card, we'll meditate and then I'll answer one of your questions. So for the wild card, let's see what's missing. What can Aries focus on to be more successful, to be more happy, to be on their highest energy? What haven't we talked about that needs to be covered? Eight of Swords. We are all about the swords here in the in the soul space today. All right, so the Eight of Swords reversed is actually seeing things for what they are. So the reversal of this card can be feeling like you are beholden to something and maybe being unready, unwilling, or afraid of looking at something. This one almost looks like an octopus, right? Or some sort of like, yeah, what's the other one? Octopus or squid? Yeah, it's more of an octopus. So what can happen sometimes with all of those swords in our lives, they have a way of kind of like creeping around us and then closing us in, just like an octopus can kind of throw its tentacles around us. So with this, we see someone rising above the temptations, rising above that feeling of being trapped, and knowing that they always have the capacity to see a higher vista, a higher point of view. The reversal of this is also saying, I'm taking the blinders off, I'm taking the blindfold off. And notice, usually in all Eight of Swords, there's always a way out. It can be a prison card, but it's usually one of imposing the prison on yourself. So self-imprisonment. How can you get yourself out of the situation where you feel like you're painted in? And there's always a way out. Remember what I talked about at the beginning, which could be like taking a right turn, left turn, or a U-turn. It's time to navigate. And that's what this is saying here. And to see things, to pay attention to whatever's coming through without fear, without fault, and to, just like we saw here, like I see it, and I'm not going to overreact. I've got this. But we did get, if we take the Strength card out, which is really showing you the positives here, cutting away the strings, not falling into a situation where someone's going to try to trip you up, and then seeing the higher point of view. You did get a lot of swords, and most readers would be like, woohoo, swords, not our favorite things, but I see them as beneficial here because ultimately we have the Bast / Strength card coming through, which is saying you've got this, okay? It's just some challenges, and you are the star, and ultimately you are that divine cat goddess, so you can do this, all right? This is a perfect point for us to meditate, and then just a reminder, a couple things. I will answer one of your questions. So the way that the last card that I pull works is that all you have to do while we're meditating is to think about that question and kind of like beam it out to me. And then after we meditate, I'll pull a single card and give you your answer. And then this meditation is going to give us a chance to clear stuff out. I think I want to help you focus on removing conditional love, any of those strings. We'll do a little bit of a cord cutting, and then open up and try and point the satellite in the right direction. So I think we'll do that in the meditation in just a second. A couple of quick notes before we meditate. I would love to have some of you that are brand new click the subscribe button if you enjoy what you see here. Just a reminder that subscribing is free. It doesn't entail anything, even though the name suggests otherwise. It's the same as follow on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. So if you like what you see, subscribe, please. You can only do that once, but if you've done it, thank you. If you've never done it, now's the time. Roughly half or sometimes up to 70% of the people that watch don't subscribe. And so it doesn't help my channel. If you can do that, it actually helps a lot. Hit the thumbs up once. I see we've gotten a few more, so thank you. And anyone that enjoys what they've seen here today, you can also join, or you can give back in a sticker as little as like 99 cents. It helps me create all these new videos and also buy new decks, which I've been doing a lot of lately. And all the information for present, past, and future videos is on my website and in the pinned comment above. Later, if you like this, you can also hit the applaud button and show support. That's on desktop and Android at this time. And also, you can join me on social media. And these are all my handles, and they're on my website. Mostly everywhere I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. The only exception is Twitter, where it's @Ashbaugh. But I'm on pretty much all the social media platforms. Go to my website. And just a quick note, a lot of times there are imposters out there. So I will never ask you for payment information. I'm not going to offer you a free reading. I'm not going to add you as a friend or follow you or message you on any platform. There's a lot of imposters out there. So just follow me on my official channels. And if somebody's trying to do something suspicious, let me know and report it as well. And I usually will post a community post when somebody does that so that you know that it's not real and it's not me. Okay, let's get into the meditation and then I'll answer your final question. So today's meditation is going to focus on cord cutting and opening up abundance in your life. I think I'd like to focus on, for the cord cutting, you know, I talked earlier last month about kind of Pele, the goddess of fire. What if we imagine, we have a different one here, kind of holding this chalice of fire. I think this will be a little bit easier to deal with. So let's imagine that you're holding the flame of your heart, the flame of your soul, very close to you, and it's in a chalice, so you're not going to get burned. But what we're going to focus on is using that to clear out any strings, any cords that are attached, especially to your heart space, so that you can love unconditionally and receive unconditionally. Let's make this Three of Swords and Ace of Cups. Let's allow it to just be a heart, just receiving. So close your eyes, actually rub your hands together, put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Feel the warmth and heat that you created. Keep rubbing them a little bit if you don't feel that, but once you do, put that against your heart and feel the warmth there. And if you'd like to, you can just then kind of cup your hands in front of your heart and feel that energy. Imagine that you could use that to create things. You can even kind of move your hands in and out until you can feel a ball of energy, or imagine that a ball of energy is there. And now with your eyes closed, think of people in your life with whom you have a connection where it may not be exactly what you want. Maybe they take a little bit too much. Maybe they push you in ways that they shouldn't. Maybe you're just tired of them, whatever it is. See that you're holding this ball of light. And as you start to move it, you can even imagine that it's a crystal ball too, if you want to. You can see into the fire. Whatever that energy is, if you're tired of it, imagine that that cord that connects you to the person just through the energy of the fire melts away. And if you feel like there's an imbalance of energy, like they took more from you than they should have, before you let the sort of cord sever, before it melts, take a nice deep breath and call back your energy, reclaim it. And on the exhale, push back whatever you don't want from them, the garbage, the trauma, the drama, all of that stuff. It's back to you. Thanks for that. I don't need it anymore. Use the fire now to melt the connection between the two of you and seal it off at both ends so they can't come back in. That passageway is gone. You can bless and release. Thank you so much for the lessons. We no longer need them. Much love and light to you. I wish you the best in your life. You no longer can connect to me in that way. And then see your heart starting to glow with this beautiful internal fire. So it's not just the green energy, it's also this beautiful golden, almost like golden light white energy that's shooting out. Now, anywhere that there are cords in your life, just to kind of be more expedient here, imagine now that the heart contains its own fire and it's singeing through all of those connections. It's just melting them, it's reclaiming them naturally, it's starting to expand, and you see these beautiful rays of light and energy wrapping around you, almost like a cocoon of light and protective energy. Your heart is so strong now that it in and of itself, with each beat that it takes, is creating this beautiful shield around you. There is no energy that's strangling it. There's nothing that's taking from it. It's strong, it's beating, and it's saying, I'm ready to receive. The inner chalice or satellite within is now upright and ready to receive. And as I play the singing bowl here, imagine that love, abundance, and opportunity is starting to fill up that chalice. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Think to yourself, I am more than enough for myself, more than enough for others. I am ready to receive love, abundance, and all the highest blessings that want to come forth. And I see now that it's just one step away, and I'm taking that step today. Feel that your heart is full, that it is fiery, that it is overflowing, just like the Ace of Cups. Feel like you are protected now, and that your satellite is broadcasting a higher frequency, one that says, I am ready for people on the same level. And if they aren't ready for what I'm ready for, they can move on. This is not what I need now. And if there's any other blessings or messages that you have coming through, then just kind of allow those to flow through and ask for whatever it is that you want before you close this meditation. And then gently open your eyes when you're ready and focus on your next thought or your next question that you have for me. And for this one, basically the way that I read this is it's going to be it can be a yes, no. It can also be a deeper question. So if I haven't answered something already, actually we had one that just flopped out. So this was the judgment card, but I'm gonna shuffle the cards real quick and we're gonna take a look at what else we need to pay attention to. So ask a question. I'll do my best to answer it. Okay. So the answer that you got before the card flipped through was the King of Pentacles in reverse. So with the King of Pentacles in reverse, the important thing to know is you have that which you seek. This is, to me, the card of hearth and home. It's a very successful card. It is the Midas touch, basically the ability to create some sort of like magic when it comes to abundance in your life. So ultimately, the meditation we just did was very effective. As a yes or no, it's a yes. But the problem with the card in reverse is sometimes you may be unable or unwilling to, like I said before, receive what's coming through because timing or control. So if there's something that you want to negotiate and it's in front of you, I would say really focus on not giving up control if that's something that you need, not letting someone else take control or authority over something. So that's important. Definitely make sure that you have a seat at the table. If someone in your life is focused solely on themselves or only wants, then one of the things that you want to focus on is making sure that they give as much as they take. So that's important too. And if there's someone in your life that's selfish, it's time to move on. Ultimately, it's a yes card, but I would say the thing that I'm focusing on with this yes is what are you getting out of the equation and how do you feel? And is it sustaining? Is it fulfilling? We have a judgment card that came out right before as I was shuffling, which is you already know what you want to do. So you don't need my permission to do something. This is basically honoring what your higher self is saying. And the clarification card is really that it has to feel good. You have to receive something and someone can't take too much. It has to be an equal equation. Okay. That's it. Pretty good stuff, actually. And the judgment card also is if you're expecting something to happen, someone else might be waiting for you to give them an indication as well. So way at the beginning, I basically said that you need to focus on using your voice, because if you don't, someone else will use it. Like someone else is going to step up and take that space. So speak up, say what you think. It feels like people are interested in buying into whatever it is you're trying to offer. So it feels good to me. I feel like you're on a good path. Nothing here that was really worrisome. The only thing that I see here when we looked at the general reading was the 4 and the 10 of swords. So rest and miscommunications for some of you, or fatigue. And then creating unconditional love in your life, releasing people that can't do that, not taking the bait, standing strong, taking the blinders off, and seeing things as they truly are. Okay. Beautiful messages. Great way to start the month. I hope you enjoyed today. I'll be back again tomorrow to read for Taurus. I already posted the upcoming dates for everything. Let me see. I think I have this open in another tab. So here is a list of all the August dates. I will work on getting the rest of the all the links done. It takes me a little bit of time to program in all those links, but I currently have Taurus up there. I'll have the rest ready by the weekend. And so feel free to join me tomorrow if you'd like to. And then I'll be back on Sunday with Gemini and Monday with Cancer. I will be working on the 4th of July for those of you in America, because I figure a lot of you will be off and it'll still be nice to kind of catch up. So if you have time at 9 a.m. Pacific or noon Eastern to join in, please do that before you start your festivities. I will be working. And yeah, thank you so much for all your love and support and for working on yourselves. It means so much. One last thing, I have written a book. So if you like fantasy and sci-fi, if you're kind of a little bit of a geek there, that's another way that you can give back. It's available on my website. And if you haven't already liked, please do it. You can only do it once, but I see we're still not quite, yeah, we're kind of at half. That's my goal, is to at least get half the people watching to like it. It helps with people exploring this and discovering this. And one last note again, if you want to follow me on social media, it's a great way to get reminders. I know that sometimes the Google reminders don't always work, or the YouTube ones don't always work. So you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook in particular, where I will post reminders. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic month ahead. Can you believe we're at July and we're looking at August? This month has been kind of pushing forth really, really fast. So make it a great week, make it a great month, and make it a great day. It's good to see you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.